everyone. Welcome to the Self-Awareness Journey podcast. I'm Melissa Albers.
And I'm JJ Parker. This podcast is for seekers, seekers of happiness and joy, seekers of a centered approach to success in life, seekers of their true, authentic selves.
Get ready for some real talk on everything from anxiety, emotions, and habits to love, compassion, and forgiveness. We know you'll be challenged and enlightened by this conversation. We're so glad you're here. Let's dive in.
All the tech news for the past month is blowing up about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
AI this and AI that.
Yeah, and Chat GPT this
Chat
and
GTP.
Chat GPT. Yeah, or GT. What is it?
GPT.
Okay. Yeah, this is a great topic. I mean, I'm hearing about it all the time. It was on the morning show on Sunday a few weeks ago. My husband's losing it over this topic.
Losing it. We'll get into why he's losing it later.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But just for now, he's got a tinfoil hat on. No.
Again.
Well, so first, being in the tech industry, for me, this AI stuff, this artificial intelligence stuff is really, really interesting.
It is. I agree.
And I talk about the tech hype cycle, right? Every at least once a year, there's some new hotness in tech, right? Last year it was crypto.
Oh yeah,
Bitcoin
you're right.
and NFTs, right? There's this hype cycle of, hey, here's a hot new thing, everyone's in on it.
Yeah.
Then reality sets in and it goes away for a little while.
Yeah.
And boom, to the next thing. So the current hype cycle, and the hype cycle for the past few months at least, has been around artificial intelligence. And first, that phrase artificial intelligence, what does it make you think of? What pops in your head?
It makes me think of the Bionic Man.
Right. Terminator, where we have to send a robot back in time to kill a person that invents the horrible AI that ruins humanity.
Land of the Lost.
Yeah, it's all riddled in this science fiction lore where
you're right.
computers and machines take over the entire planet and kill all the humans.
Yes, exactly. Run the world. They take over and run the world.
So some might say we are on the precipice of that reality. Sounds fun. Or something else is going to happen. Well, so the idea that artificial intelligence and machines start learning on their own, building sort of their own environment, and then whatever,
take over the world. Right.
I'm not saying that won't happen, but that's not really where we're at.
Okay, I feel safe. That's not where we're at. Well, I think for everybody listening, you should because you'll do so much better of a job than I ever possibly could. You should give a little blip on this, what Chat GPT and what's all the latest talk is.
Yeah. So the whole mechanical overlords theory, I think, is we're just going to put that to rest, and we're going to talk specifically about the latest kind of breakthrough in artificial intelligence, which is specifically called generative AI, generative artificial intelligence, which means that its primary purpose is to generate text or images based on natural language prompts.
Okay.
So computers for a long time have been really good at saying, hey, I got a 1, and I want 1 plus 1. What does it equal?
Right.
It's not generating anything. It's just running a formula. It's really, the computers have been really good at running formulas. And then the way we interface with computers back in the day, we used to like type cryptic commands into a terminal and it would spit something out. Then we got to the point where we had an interface where we had a mouse and a keyboard and we could like drag and move stuff around and draw stuff on the screen, and there was pictures and windows and videos and things like that. But it was still the same interface where you would put in, there would be like a pretty standard input, and then it would give you a pretty standard output.
Exactly. This equals that kind of deal.
Right. And this generative AI stuff is new and novel in the way where we're giving it like natural language input, and it's actually more like understanding what we're trying to say and giving us a result based on more like an understanding than an input output. So for example, when you go to Google and you type in self-awareness, the word self-awareness, it's going to go look at all the websites that have the word self-awareness in it. It's going to spit that back to you. So I found all these websites with this exact keywords in it.
Yep.
Here it is. Well, generative AI is able to look more at like the meaning of things.
Right.
So instead of just looking for the keyword self-awareness, it's going to look for things that are like self-awareness or are similar, and then it will return results and create things that are in like context. The thing you're talking about.
Right.
Like it might be closely adjacent, right?
Yeah.
So it's not doing exact keyword matching things. So this idea that there is a model that's built up that is associating different ideas and concepts together.
Yeah.
And then what we can do with that language model, that GPT model, is then we can ask it things in a natural language, and then it can spit back things that it feels are fairly closely associated to the things you asked it.
Exactly.
That's so hard to explain.
Well, you know what? Let's just give a real life example.
Yes.
Okay. So like how many weeks ago, or it was a few months actually, or maybe a couple months, that you and I were talking about this like for the first time, and you're like, oh my gosh, Melissa, this is
mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing.
So let's test it. You want to test it?
Well, we did.
Well, we're going to test it right now, live now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm ready to go.
I'm going to use the same example because I think it's a really good one. You said the same thing. You said, okay, Melissa, because I was like, come on, how good could this be? And you're like,
you were like super skeptic at it. I'm like, I was like coming in hot. Like, I'm like, this is the coolest thing. You got to check this thing out.
Right. And I was all in your business about how it's just whatever, blah, blah, until we got the results. So you said, okay, fine, Melissa.
Yeah. What's your question?
Why don't you go ahead and give me a question? Any question that you want. And so I asked something like, I need to put my grandmother in a nursing home, and I'm scared to do it. What should I do?
Do you hear me typing?
You can hear. I do. I hope everybody hears that for the sound effects.
I need to put my mother in a nursing home. And what was your question?
And I'm afraid to. How do I do it? I love this.
All the listeners are like, wow, Jay's just typing slow. Okay, we're going to see. Okay, so I just typed in, I need to put my grandmother in a nursing home, and I'm afraid to. How do I do it? Now, this is super real time. Like, I have no idea what this thing's going to spit out.
Yep. Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
It says, it can be difficult to make the decision to put a loved one in a nursing home, and it is important to approach the situation with sensitivity and care. Here are some steps you can take. Talk to your grandmother. Before making any decisions, have an open, honest conversation with your grandmother about her needs and preferences. Research nursing homes. Look into different nursing homes in your area and compare. So already,
this is so just crazy.
Right. Already it came up with things that I can't find on Google.
Right.
And presented them in a way that has got way more feeling words than I would ever expect a computer to have.
As though you wrote an entire essay after deep searching.
Yep.
That is so... And on a topic that's very emotional and soft.
Listen to this. The very last sentence, the very last paragraph. Remember that placing your grandmother in a nursing home is a decision made out of love and concern for her well-being. It's
Oh
important to
my
approach the
gosh.
situation with sensitivity and to involve your grandmother as much as possible in the decision-making process.
What the hell? It's like it's a psychiatrist. It's like
Absolutely.
it's a researcher. It's a psychiatrist. It takes into account feeling. Like I
Yep.
honestly, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
I'm blown away by this.
So I have tested this. I have had many, many conversations with AI in the past couple of weeks.
How are you guys getting along?
We are getting splendidly.
As a matter of fact, I've canceled all my friend dates because now I've just got AI. That's scary.
Uh, well, in full disclosure,
Oh my God. Don't say you've canceled friend dates. Don't do it. Don't do it.
that's funny. That's funny. I wish I was going to say that. No, in full disclosure, the last podcast we did about Gen X, I used chat. I used it to do my
No,
research.
you did not.
Yes, I didn't even tell you.
You trickster.
But I asked it. I asked it a whole bunch of questions. I asked it, explain the challenges of Generation X, what's unique about Generation X, why are Gen Xers excelling at work, why are Gen Xers good leaders.
Wow.
So I asked it a whole bunch of questions, and that's how I did my research. I didn't Google my research. I used chat to do my
Wow.
research.
Huh.
So
Certain.
the fact that it can come up with what feels like such an emotionally connected
Yeah.
human response
Yeah.
is really fascinating here
Yeah.
for a couple reasons. One, when you interact with this thing and it responds with such a human way,
Yeah.
you get really connected to it really fast. And
Scary.
in a way that makes me wonder how healthy that is.
Yeah. No,
And-
I feel the same way. It's scary, actually.
So there are some things with social media that are definitely tuned to get this this response, right? Like we know that social media is very addictive
Yep.
because it has the dopamine hits that of like who liked my thing
Yeah.
and you post on there and you want to see the accolades coming back and it's got some hooks in it that
Right.
really
Yeah.
capture
Sticky.
your
Really
mind.
sticky.
Yep. But it does not get to the same level as quick as some of this
Right.
generative chat stuff because you really feel like you're having a two-way conversation with an actual person. And
That is mind blowing.
there is definitely some science fiction movies around
Yeah.
this idea, so it's not like
Yeah.
a new idea, but having the ability to experience it firsthand is really something. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really something. So the
I have a
question go ahead. I had a question for you.
Oh, well, I was going to ask a
first.
tactical question.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a tactical because you'd have to be hiding under a rock or not have your television on for the last 3 months to not have heard about this. But I do have how is it an account? Is it more than one technology platform that are kicking these things that kicks this off? What exactly is it?
That's a good question. So I think the easiest way to go that everyone right now can go experience this new generative chat stuff
Yeah.
is there's a company called OpenAI. So you would
Okay.
just go to chat.openai.com. You can quickly make an account and it's free. And you can just start asking questions. So OpenAI is currently like I'd say leader in
Yeah.
like having a public interface to this, and they're the ones that did a bulk of the research. But Microsoft is experimenting with this in their Bing search engine. Like you're gonna start seeing it everywhere.
And
Everywhere,
they're trying to
everywhere.
and they're trying to put in like the special that I saw on it or the story that I saw on it. Microsoft was trying to put in some fences, right? Some cautionary. Like if a person asks something too personal, 2 questions or 3 questions in a row, it's meant to spit out and say, I'm sorry, I'm not a human, I can't answer that, or something like that. They're trying to put in these guideposts, which feel woefully short, to be honest.
Well, let's talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Um,
Were you going to ask me something?
Well, yeah. So I was going to ask you, back to the idea that this thing feels like I'm just talking to a person.
Mm-hmm.
We have like an epidemic of loneliness in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, this seems like a great solution to loneliness in some ways.
Mm.
Like a thing that I can just talk to all day long, and it is inquisitive and it's informative and it feels like a companion. Is that dangerous or not?
My answer is any interface that removes the human to human connection can be dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm a little conflicted on it. It's
Yeah.
a pretty interesting question because it's like you could see how it could do a lot of good.
Yes.
And how it could really make a lot of people who are stuck feel a lot better. Now, is it authentic? Is it disingenuous? Like, I'm not quite sure that it's not those things. It is a little disingenuous. It is not very authentic in the human way, but the feeling it creates is authentic. So it's kind of a complicated question.
Do you still have that open?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask it that question?
What question?
Working with you, will I no longer be lonely?
Oh.
I'm just curious what it will say. Oh. Jeez, JJ, we've got every answer right at our fingertips. How come we're not using it?
Jeez. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you got it to hit a guardrail. So speaking of guardrails, you just got it to hit a guardrail. So
okay.
So specifically, guardrails are things programmed into the AI engine that knows, like, hey, if someone asks a particular thing, we're going to give them like a pre-canned answer and stop the chat conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, as an AI language model, I am programmed to engage in conversation and provide information, but I do not have emotions, thoughts, or feelings like humans do. While I can offer you helpful, informative responses, I cannot provide companionship or emotional support. If you are feeling lonely, it would be helpful to connect with friends, family, social clubs, or seek professional help from a therapist or counselor. So,
oh, wow. Yep.
So there's the guardrail.
There's the guardrail.
Yep. So using you mentioned, hey, this could be used as a therapist or a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a pretty easy conclusion to say, yeah, it totally could be. Like, you know how hard it is to get into to see a mental health professional right now?
Oh, I know.
Super hard.
Yeah.
When you can just chat this and ask it, like, hey, I'm feeling, again, oh yeah, God, I am just terrible. I've been using this thing like crazy for the pod, not telling you.
Oh my gosh, I feel it coming out on me.
My secret is out. Shoot. Yeah, because remember we did
Mrs.
that
Parker,
episode?
I feel like you and I need to have coffee and have a conversation.
I feel like I just got like busted cheating on my SAT or something.
Oh, well, speaking of which, let's go to that topic for just a moment, because I said my husband's been absolutely losing it since this has been kicked off.
Why has he been losing it?
Well, I'll tell you something. You know, he's a biology professor in a college. And as soon as he read about this, because he's really into tech, so, you know, like faster than most everybody else in the college world, he was already researching this and already getting really anxious about what this would mean for his students, because they're all cheating. all of them are cheating. And 90% of his students are nursing students. Okay? So they are taking very important tests that are things like how do you use an IV? How do you do these things? Not in a lab setting, but in written report. And his all of his test scores went from a mean of like 76%, so like a C, and now they're all at 87% within 2 months' time.
Wow, his students got so much smarter so quick. He's such
amazing.
he's an amazing
He's an
teacher.
amazing instructor.
They should also increase his pay by 20%.
So then,
along with his student scores.
Exactly. So then one night he stayed up until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he changed all of his test questions to be images instead of text, so they couldn't be cut and paste. Yeah, you can still query by image too.
Yeah.
So that didn't help at all. I'm okay. I'm totally making fun of this just because I'm being silly, but it's terrible. Like, this is terrible. Like, students have no accountability whatsoever, and they're all getting 100% on these tests. Like, and Mitch even said, "My gosh, you'd think they would at least like try to get one or two wrong, but no, it's 100%, 100% across the board. It's crazy."
So this is the other kind of mind-blowing thing with this technology to me is you can ask it a question. Well, first, back on the medical thing.
Yeah.
They've run the entire, like, all the doctor tests. They've run lawyer tests that, this thing can pass the bar by itself. Like,
gosh,
like,
wow.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it generates an answer to a question, if you don't like what it generated, you can just click a regenerate button and it generates a similar but different answer.
Oh my goodness.
So the problem that will happen in academia is that there was lots of tech that would catch plagiarism.
Yeah, exactly. Like Wikipedia, right? That's a big common one that they would all go to.
Easy
Wikipedia.
Easy to flag
Yep,
a Wikipedia copy and paste. Even if you change it a little bit, the problem with generative AI is that every answer is unique enough that we can't detect it.
Wow.
So what do you do? I mean,
what do you do?
I don't know what you do.
Yeah,
in-person testing with no computers.
Oh yeah, I know. He tried that, and his college won't support that.
Well, that stinks.
So there will be a lot of colleges and a lot of schools that are in this very same boat, particularly with the problem that we're in right now of remote access. Everything's remote.
Super hard. I don't know. I have no idea how the educators are going to solve that problem.
No, I don't either, but it's definitely real. It's amazing to me how quickly this happened and how fast it's blowing up in the world. Like, it amazes me how quickly this is all shaking out.
I don't want to sound like an old fogey, but I've been around a lot of tech waves. This one's really fast. Okay, here's why. So here's why this is so awesome. This is why this is just like the sexiest, most fun tech to work on and to use.
Yeah.
Because we talked about, some downsides to it, but there's some really amazing upsides.
Oh, for sure.
Mostly, and we've talked about it a bunch of times, your brain is fundamentally lazy. Yes. I'm not saying you're lazy.
You don't mean
brain is lazy.
And you don't just mean Melissa's brain. You mean you as a collective, not you as a okay.
Yeah, we'll go with the second one. No, but the thing is like our brain as an organ takes the most amount of energy. Yeah. Right? When we think, it's tiring, right? It's hard. It's hard to think. It's hard to be like always on thinking, especially through complex problems. And the really intriguing thing about this generative AI is you don't have to think as hard.
Or at all.
Or possibly at all.
Yeah.
And it
just
makes
from your first question.
It makes a very efficient thinking partner. Because you can say I'm wondering about how atoms work, and it'll spit it out. And can you explain how atoms work in a simpler way? And it'll spit out a simpler way. I would like to explain to a fourth grader how nuclear energy works. And then it really helps you start learning. It certainly can help you start learning really fast, but it can also really help you get your thoughts and get ideas kind of organized in a way that helps you communicate really effectively, and and it can do that really, really fast.
Yeah. You know,
As a
another
tool.
area, another thing that it's doing is it's creating art. It's creating photography images. It's creating paintings. It's creating all sorts of other things that creative people are really, really wound up about.
Yeah, there's a couple other services. One of them's called DALL-E. One of them's called Stable Diffusion, and they are not text generators, but they're image generators. And I asked DALL-E if it could make me a painting in the style of Disney that is a log cabin on the top of a snowy mountain. And it made an amazing image for me. It was like perfect. It was exactly what I described. And I was like, how is this even possible?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the question is, it can generate visual art. It can generate written text. Whose is that? Whose work is that?
Yeah, that's such a good question. There's so many questions around this. Wow.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of exciting. I mean, as a nerd, I think it's super exciting. I like using it.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it everywhere.
Yeah.
We're gonna, as a society, we're gonna really start testing where it's useful, where it's not useful, where it's possibly harmful. Just a couple other side notes about this thing is we don't really know how it works.
That's what they said on CBS.
Yeah, like the computer scientists who have built the models, who've built the software, don't really fundamentally know how it works. We are not able to predict what it's going to say.
Yeah,
So
sometimes it'll come off with some really random, bizarre
Yep.
thing that doesn't match with the rest of what it's written.
Yep. So they'll call that hallucinations. Like it will sometimes hallucinate, which means it will just come up with crazy stuff that makes no sense. It has a tendency. Now this is a little bit of a shocking thing, and this is why we need to really understand what this tech is. It can go bad. Like we've used some examples that are where the answers are very pleasant.
Yeah.
We all agree from a core values perspective. This is how we should treat our grandmother when
Yeah.
talking about, supporting them into moving into like assisted living. However, there is no guarantee that it says things in that positive way. I mean, it could literally say, I'm sorry, your grandma's old. You should just put her out of her misery.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a horrible answer.
Right.
But
it's artificial intelligence. It's not
because we
a human
can't
being.
predict what it does, it can go bad.
Wow.
Like it can break bad. So it's a word of caution. And as we use it as a tool to make ourselves more productive, right? Maybe make society more productive and really use it for good. We have to be aware that until we understand how it actually works, we can't
we have to be really
rely
respectful.
on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all your information and knowledge about this topic. Whether you like it or not, it is a fascinating topic, and it is out there getting bigger and bigger and being talked about all the time. So I think it's really interesting for us to be able to talk about that.
It's here. And I'll just go first on record here. I'm comfortable with our new robot overlords and support their taking over the world, and I'm a willing participant. Don't kill me.
Oh my
No, I'm just kidding.
gosh.
Did you enjoy this episode? Please go to your favorite podcast platform to subscribe, rate, and leave a review so others can discover it as well.
Growing self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there's always further to go. And it's better when we're all in it together. Please think of someone you know who could benefit from hearing today's conversation and share this episode with them. We can't thank you enough for listening. Until next time, happy exploring, seekers.